Hey there, vinyl community. It is Steve from vinylrecordnetwork.com. Check us out, the link below. I think you're going to like what you see. I like it. Why wouldn't I? It's my link. But we're not here to talk about that today. For our very first video on YouTube within the vinyl community, we're here to talk about the different vinyl pressings that I own and eventually that you own of this iconic landmark album from January 1967, The Doors' self-titled. But before I do that, I just want to have a little fun for a second. I want to pay tribute to this t-shirt here. I'm not going to stand up. That'd be really hokey. You wouldn't want me to do that anyway. But there's going to be a video about this t-shirt one day and some content around it. You hang tight. But today, it's about Jimbo and the boys, all right? So here's how this is going to work. I'm going to rank the pressings I have. I'm going to talk about them briefly. And I'm going to list off some pressings that I'm aware of that I don't own, but I know you own at the end of this. But it doesn't end there. For this to really be a fun video, comments below. Tell me what you own, what your rankings are, and anything else that you want to say about the fact that we got some pretty awesome options with this band on vinyl, all right? So let's get started. I hope you could see that. Ton of glare. Sorry. Original mono pressing from the Monarch plant of 1967. So I'll talk about the original pressing plants that Electric contracted out to a little later on in this video. But the mono mix, it's number 4 for me. Just doesn't do it for me. The master tapes, highly distorted. It's not one of the better mono mixes of that era for rock albums. It's not Sgt. Pepper, though I like this better than Sgt. Pepper and know I'm in the minority. And maybe that could be a video one day in terms of your favorites from the summer of love of 67. I wasn't born yet, I was -3, but hell, I love a lot of the music. And I just don't love this on mono. It's a novelty. Morrison's voice and Densmore's drums are what you would expect in a more narrow soundstage of a mono mix, but the sound quality is just not up to par of the other pressings. It's nice. I mean, it's funny to hear Morrison at the end of the end drop a couple F-bombs that are not in the stereo mix. But VG Plus is going to cost you $300. It's just not worth it. All right. So number 4. Number 3, and I think I'm going to get some slack for this, is I think it's going to be a lot of your number 1, because it's the most recent major reissue of this, and that is the Analog Productions 45 RPM Quality Records pressing plant, I think it's called, in Salina, Kansas, that Analog Productions owns. I mean, look, packaging, that glare is terrible, I'm sorry. Packaging, amazing. Gatefold, amazing. Thick cardboard stock, looks awesome. Vinyl, quiet as can be. Doug Sachs, great mastering engineer from TML, the Mastering Lab, did classics back in the day of Pink Floyd, The Wall. Vinyl's quiet. 45 RPM lends well to the longer songs, The End and Light My Fire. Good value, was repressed in 2020. But they didn't use the master tapes, and it shows. Morrison's vocals aren't that ever-worldly experience. Densmore's drums sound pretty good, but it just doesn't have the transient highs. It's just missing some soul. I'm glad to have it. Again, pristine vinyl, mastered well based on what they had to use. It's just not the best copy, at least in my opinion, of what I own. It's number 3. All right, moving on here. Halfway done. Hang tight. Number 2, from 1992, Steve Hoffman, Digital Compact Classics. Did not get a chance to finish the whole Doors catalog. There's no Soft Parade. There's no Morrison Hotel, unfortunately. I recently purchased this sealed. And I tell you, I got something pretty cool here. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. I doubt it. Maybe number 47. I don't own anything like that. It's cool. I'm glad to have it in my collection. It beats the Analog Productions because the flow of music isn't interrupted. I'm an old guy. I guess I'm a traditionalist. I like side one for my door self-titled to start with Break On Through and end with Light My Fire. This gives me that. Obviously, at the analog 45 RPM process doesn't. Steve does a great job on this. Big fan of his form. I know some people think that's audiophile snobbery, and sometimes it is. It just all depends on what the topic is and what people are talking about. But Morrison's vocals are right here. Densmore's drums are right here. I just find the presentation to be a little too narrow for my taste, a little too polite. I like this music, which has a lot of soul, to come roaring out of the speakers, to punch me in my gut. Heck, punch me in my face. I have a problem with a lot of audiophile companies, Mobile Fidelity, where when I compare the originals to these audiophile company pressings, not all the time, I don't want to overgeneralize, but a lot of the time, it's too polite for me. This is not a polite album. It just isn't. It's got so much going for it, though. I wish it grabbed me a little bit more. But this is going to be your most expensive option, probably. Unless this next copy you can find near mint and you got a better chance of seeing God than that. But hey, maybe you're better at hunting things down than myself. I haven't been successful, but this is number 2. All right, number 1 with a bullet, as they used to say back in the day. There we go. This is the 1967 stereo pressing from the Monarch plant. So, back in 67, Electric contracted out to Allentown, Scranton, Pennsylvania, Pittman, New Jersey. Had a little COL for Columbia Pittman in the dead wax. I've heard some people rave about that pressing. Terre Haute, Indiana. And how can I forget? Monarch. This gets it all right. This has got the mid-range. This has got everything you'd want in terms of the highs, the lows, the mids. Morrison's voice is everworldly, as I said before. I don't know where I came up with that word today, but I like it. I like it as it relates to his vocals on this. His voice never sounded like this again. It's just like from another dimension. Being that he's a crooner, this isn't Robert Plant here, but a great rock crooner. His voice is amazing on this. Densmore's drums are better than the other pressings. But where it really beats is that wider soundstage, those transient highs of Manzarek's organs and Krieger's guitars. It's just awesome. Now, it's a VG Plus copy, but you know what? I got a little hint for you here, all right? This is actually a second press. It's got the first pressing stampers on side 1 with M in parentheses. On side 2, it's got MON. They kind of mess with the EQ a little bit. I don't know why. I got my thoughts, but I'm not going to get into all that technical stuff now. This isn't a technical video, and I'm not a technical guy. I'm just here to have some fun. The second side's louder, more pronounced bass. It's not too off from side 1, but it's a difference. I like side 1 better. I would love to have a pressing that's got just M in parentheses on side 1 and side 2. But this will save you some money and it'll get you really, really close. And this is VG Plus. And for all these reasons, it's number 1 with a bullet, my friends. So what else is out there? You got Mobile Fidelity from 1981, some Japanese pressings from the 70s. I mentioned the mono reissues. Those are the ones that I know about. Outside of listing other countries, UK, Germany, France, back in the day. But you know what? This is where your vote counts now. Leave your comments below. Tell me what you have. Rank them. Hey, let's have some fun with this. That's what it's all about, all right? Don't take it too seriously, but let's learn from each other. And I like a little competition. If you think my 3 is terrible choice, Analog Productions, and it's one in your world, and you can list some others, go for it, all right? Hey, man, take care, and future video is going to be really cool. The very next one's probably going to be a tour of the Vinyl Lab, Nashville, Tennessee's latest pressing plant. So look for that, guys. Take care, vinyl community.